Hey everyone, we are back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Had to change the from the phone to the computer, but hey, I'm kind of just throwing this together because I think it's important that we talk to each other in these different times. And since I have a unique skill of having intuition about kind of the greater collective unconscious, that's what I want to share with you guys today. So the collective unconscious, for those who don't know, and there are a couple of different definitions of this, but the definition that I use is that the collective unconscious is it's a space in which you have all of the unprocessed emotions of the collective. There's a book, Beloved by Toni Morrison, in which they describe the collective unconscious as a place in which, because for those who don't know, Beloved is about a slave girl, and they talk about how she then goes back and actually experiences what it's like to be on the slave ships that come across the Atlantic, right? Because it's sitting in the collective unconscious of her people, and that can be true in a very large way, in kind of a macro way, right? And that we're seeing that the collective unconscious is actually this entire area of a lot of anxiety right now, a lot of fear, a lot of things like that. And when you tap into that, it can either go one way or the other. And this is everybody is tapping into this, right? Either you become significantly more scared, significantly more fearful, significantly more anxious, all those different things. That's one possibility. Another possibility is that you are, really experiencing a different kind. You can kind of choose where you go in the collective unconscious. It's very much so stratified in the sense that whatever everyone's feeling the most and is like the most exciting and has the most energy, so to speak, when people are paying attention to the most in terms of their emotions, those are the things that kind of rise to the top. And it gets really hard to kind of dive deep down into the deeper, more joyful, more light-filled areas that we have. So what I think is really important, the reason that it's called the Collective Unconscious Weather Report, is because I want, people to be able to kind of understand that there may be like something different going on than what we think there is. So like I said, generally we got a lot of anxiety and fear up here. But when you start to go deeper into this experience, you're starting to see that, and I don't know if this is just for you, but on the really day-to-day level, what I'm seeing is that things are happening in such a way, it's like all the tumblers have been clicked in a kind of way to allow this clear path for stuff to just manifest faster than we've ever experienced before. I have people who have bad habits that they used to have are no longer there. People who were putting off decisions, all of a sudden the decision is like right there, and it's either being made for them or they're able to make it. All around, you're just seeing this kind of general experience of like, there's no like hemming and hawing about what you want to do anymore. It's like you're there. And so because of that, I think it's really important that all of us, when we're tapping into this collective unconscious, like dive down past the fear and anxiety, dive into the place that is like full of light and is full of solutions, right? Because that's what's going to save us. You yourself are the person who's going to make your life better and who is going to, quote, save your life, right? It's not going to be a government. It's not going to be somebody else who's coming in and swooping in, even though there are plenty of people who are doing that. But ultimately, your ability to find relief from fear, your ability to look past anxiety are all incredibly important things to do right now in order to stay on top of it. And to be honest, when you get into that solution phase, when you get into that phase where you're just like, I just want to go straight for, how can I help? What can I do? I'm not just going to sit on my couch. I am just going to figure out stuff that are going on. When you can do that, you're in this great place where the energy just like pours out of you like you wouldn't believe. So I wanted to do a really quick reading for you guys on what is called the Pages of Shustah, which is actually a tarot deck that my dad gave me. It was his, and all his notes are there. It's really great. But I really love this deck because it's super straightforward. It's not like frilly anything. It's just like, you know, if you can see the cards, they're really old, and you have like cards like this, right? And you have cards like this, and they're all ink drawings, but they're all pretty obvious kind of what's going on. And so what I'm just going to do is I'm going to do a 3-card spread. That 3-card spread is going to be, first is the overview, second is the challenge, and third is the outcome. And the reason I do this is because it's a super 3-card. It's a super quick reading. It also gives you a good, it's not past, present, future. Sometimes people do 3-card spreads like that, but I'm doing 3-card spreads with overview, challenge, and outcome, because it's just an overview for the day and where the collective unconscious is as a whole. So interesting. This is a pretty obvious one. So the overview is that we've actually just come out of Pisces. So if you can tell from this card, this is the Pisces card, right? So super obvious reading. Thank you very much. Yes, we are coming out of the time of the Pisces. And one of the attributes of Pisces in particular is it's 2 fish going in opposite directions, right? And opposite directions are, they're very difficult to manage sometimes. I am a Pisces. I'm born smack dab in the middle of Pisces. And what will happen is that oftentimes you'll have an emotional side that's pushing you one way, and you'll have a rational side that's pushing you the other way. And you can flip-flop easily between those 2 sides. It almost feels like you could be a Gemini on occasion. And I can admit freely that I am one of those people right now who's flip-flopping between the 2, right? On the one hand, I'm like, I really need to be enjoying this, and I really need to be, really like leaning into the emotional aspect of like being with my family more and doing things like that. And on the other hand, this totally rational side, which is like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 fill in the blank for any of the bits of anxiety that you've had. So that's the overview of what's going on right now, is that we're moving out of Pisces. We're moving out of this kind of, I don't know where to go. I don't know which way to think. And I'm moving into actually Aries, which is like the ram. It's literally like, we are going to ram through a solution, whatever it is. And that's the language I'm choosing to use instead of, this thing is going to ram through our culture like you wouldn't believe. So interesting. The next card, which is the challenge, it's kind of, it's called the return road, and it's for the card of indecision, right? So this is, it's blue because it's very much so in the spiritual realm. And if you can see in this card, there's actually a road that goes in and a road that goes out. And that road is all about indecision in the sense of It means that as we move into this position of going from one direction and then back the other direction, going away from that, and everything's going in the other direction, everyone needs to decide where they are and where they're going with that. And that, I have a very interesting bird outside right now, sorry. We all need to decide what direction we're going to go in, right? And there's a couple of different directions that we can go. We can go in the indecision of, we can go the prepper route. We can go the, I'm going to stay inside and everything will be fine route. We're going to go the, economy is failing route. We can go the fear road, the anxiety road, the, different things like that. And if you don't decide, or if you head down one of the ones that has more of a negative attribute to it, you may find yourself coming back around to this point of this decision point again, because you're like, I just can't keep going down the fear road. I can't keep going there. I can go down the cautionary road. I can go down the let me prepare for things road. I can go do all sorts of things like that, but you can't actually make sure that you need to make a decision, and that decision needs to be the high road, right? So high road means choose people to actually choose the road that doesn't feel like fear or anxiety. Choose the road that's around solutions. Choose the road that's doing anything that you can to basically ensure that people are really going in a place where you want to be for the next 2-3 months, whatever it is. Maybe the next, not the quarantine for the next year, but maybe the world that we're living in is now this new world. What do you want that to look like? Be present with that. Be present with the view of what the future you want to see is, and stop living in the indecision of uncertainty. And so then, great. So then the last one, I'm seeing these at the same time that y'all are. The last one is it's a card of the mental, and it's all about, if you can see this, it has a door that opens. And the door is opening to possibilities. But as you can see at the end, there's a fence far in the distance. And I think that's particularly interesting because if you're seeing here, you're seeing, okay, we're moving out of a different area. We're going to a place where, there's a fair amount of indecision. There's a return road, which way are we going to go? And then you're seeing an open door. So these are all opportunities, right? Like these are all fully opportunities. And one of my teachers said, one of my spiritual teachers told me the other day, they said, we're in a place where the guardrails have been taken off of us, right? So most of the time you live within the rut of normal, right? And you're just like, okay, I can only like swerve off the road a little bit, but then I can always kind of pull back on the road because the road is still there, right? But now we're in a place where the guardrails are gone. It feels like the road is washing away, and you're coming into a place where you can go really, really dark, and you can also go really, really light. You can go really, really negative, and you can go really, really like, let's change the world. Let's see how this looks different. Let's do things like that, right? And so, this card really speaks to that. Is the overview is like, I need to seek this as an opportunity. I need to seek this as a way to change my patterns, the way that I think, to make sure that I'm actually taking care of my mental health and my emotional health, which means, you're feeling the fear, you're feeling the anxiety, you're feeling the claustrophobia, you're feeling the whatever it is, and you are actively taking steps to mitigate that and treat that, even if it isn't medically or even if it isn't things like that. You're going outside, right? Because the emotional is best processed outside. Right? It's like a heat sink for emotions, if you want to think of it like that. And, that is a great way to be able to deal with things. Pollen count in Atlanta is huge right now, right? And it just feels like it's just like causing these irritabilities in people as well. But that again it's all those tumblers that all clicked into place in such a way that we're making sure that, that everything is exactly how we think it needs to be able to fulfill great change, really, more so than anything. So, kind of to just give an overview of what the collective unconscious is saying for the day. It's saying, we're transitioning into a new place in the unfolding of events. We're moving from Pisces into Aries. So we're seeing that there's actually, there's going to feel another shift that's going to happen this week. Right. And, we're all in a place of indecision, and we don't know whether to take the low road or the high road. And you know what? It feels like our horses are all hitched to the low road right now. I often feel that, I'm an executive, and in my work, I feel as if I'm doing everything I can to maintain, the status quo of what has been, because it's for the best for everybody. But at the same time, when you're seeing that, you're also saying, it's like a juggling act. It's like, okay, I'm going to maintain the old, and then the new is just coming in here. It's coming in here to really say, do we actually, do you want the norm? Do you want the norm as much as we can? And even if it is the case in which the old norm is going away, how do we make the transition as easy as possible into what this looks like? right? And so that means decisive action. That means taking care of these opportunities, things like that. And really, really that overview of saying, this is the opportunity that we have right now to go into a deeper place within ourselves, to go into a place in which we're connecting with people. Even though, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I know who've been saying, hey, I'm actually talking to people more than I ever did before, even if it's only through, a video chat. People are outside. I mean, just people are outside like you wouldn't believe, right? Like they're going to the places they need to go, which is inside themselves and which is outside into nature. And that is what heals us. And if you're like anybody I know in the group of all of my, my spiritual partners, my partners in the spiritual life, everyone feels as if there's a need for balance, and this is a balance. And nature will always insist on balance, no matter what. So we best listen and do the work that we can now in ourselves to make sure that that's the case. So yeah, that's wonderful. I have a couple of questions here, but I want to give anyone a chance to ask questions in the chat if they want to. While you have me, I have a couple people here. Oh, hi, Wendy. So happy to see you there. Wendy is she's one of my spiritual teachers, and she's the person who I look at, and I can literally see a higher power within her eyes. So lovely to see you on the chat, Wendy. While I wait for some questions to come in, I will see if there are, I'm going to go through one of the questions that I have. So I had a question here, and it's interesting because a lot of people have asked me, like, what do you see is coming, right? Like, what do you think is actually going to be the reality of what, why is this happening? There's a lot of questions around that. And, I've asked it of my own teachers as well. And I think what I think is really important to kind of recognize is that when it comes to being intuitive about the future, precognition, there could be a whole bunch of people right now that are saying, this is what it looks like, or this is what it could be, or these are these things, and the entire process of precognition, or actually trying to predict the future or figure out the reason why something is happening. All of that is based on projecting yourself into the future, right? So if you're intuitive and you're doing that, you're basically sitting here in a present body, and then you're like, I'm going to see what is over the next hedge because or around the next corner, because I want to be able to know and I want to be able to prepare. But the thing is that if you knew what was going to happen around the next hedge, you're not being present, right? Because you're basically saying, I'm going to go here and I'm going to look at this and I'm going to tell everybody everything's going to be fine. And I can do that, but I'm never going to do that if it isn't in a place where you're just like, I am present in this moment now, because that is where I navigate from, right? Because what's around that corner is a place in the space of variations. It's a place in the multidimensionality of the universe or the multiverse, in which anything can happen. And it's very difficult to separate yourself from what you want to see. And it's incredibly important to know that the images that you project into the future do help determine you to get to that place, right? So you have a positive view of what the future looks like. You have the look of, okay, this is all working out. That is the resonance energy that you're going for. But ultimately, it's a matter of projecting in a moment, creating the vision of what that is, and then coming straight back into the present and coming into your presence. And by doing that, it makes it so that you can actually be there to do, right? So to speak. And you're really needing to be able to say, I am present in this moment, and I am sitting here driving the car where I want it to go. I'm not trying to say, what does it look like in Santa Cruz when I finally get there, right? It's like, I'm sitting in the car right now and I'm totally present. Oh, hi, Jill. And I think that is a hard lesson for people when they're living in fear and anxiety. And I think that it's always important for us to recognize that sometimes you're only given as much information as you need to be able to take the next step. And when I've asked my teachers what is going on or what's happening, or when I've looked into it myself, I can only see what I'm supposed to be doing and what I'm supposed to be being right now. That's it. It's like the lesson time and time again. It's like, okay, what's going to happen if this happens? And then it's like, nope, be present, process your emotions, stay out of fear. That's it. Okay, well, what's going to happen? No, be present, process your emotions, stay away from fear, right? And then all of a sudden, it just keeps coming back to that. It keeps coming back to that, keeps coming back to that. And I do that and it helps. And I feel so much better as a result of that. So, I think as we move forward, if I were to give blanket advice, that's the blanket advice that I'm being given, right? When this all started, I said, I kept getting this overwhelming feeling of optimism, which whenever I even told, some of my closest friends, they're like, what do you like, this isn't an optimistic situation. This is all of these other things. And I was like, no, but there's, it's there. It's like, it's there as an optimistic thing. And the optimism of it, or the positive outcome of it, is entirely dependent on you being present in the moment now. And I think that is so important for us as we go forward. So, I'm going to do one of these for half an hour every day this week, and see if people enjoy it, see if people have any other questions. You can even ask personal questions and I won't say your name, things like that. Because I just think it's really important for us to kind of break the mold of who we are, to allow the space for who we will be, right? By being present, right? It feels almost paradoxical to say that, but I think you can possibly get the gist of what I'm saying. So thank you so much to everyone who joined me. If you want to get updates for when these streams are, I'll do a better job in the future of, I'll look over the sound and do things like that, because this was kind of impromptu. And then just like my page, The Holistic Intuitive. So like that page, and then I'm going to be tuning in on the weekends at 10 after, so actually I'll go through that. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll be on at 4. Tuesday and Thursday, I'll be on at 6. And Saturday, I'll be on at 10. And I think those are all on that Holistic Intuitive page, but I wanted to kind of do it at different times because I have, there are people all over the world and I want people to be able to log into the live session. So thanks so much, and peace, love, blessings, be present. Bye.